I was showing some of my friends like a beat prior to Whoopty, and they loved it and they were like, yo, so good. And then I was making Whoopty and I was like, okay, delete that beat I sent you, wait till you hear this.
Whoopty, bitch, I'm outside of some movie. Blue cheese, I swear I'm addicted to blue cheese. I gotta stick to this paper like blue sleep. Bitch, I'm by my chicken like it's a two-piece. You can have your bitch back, she a groupie. She just swallow all my kids in a two-seat.
When I made Whoopty, I think it was like my 5th attempt on drill. It was really early on. So, you know, as soon as I done drill, bam, there's a hit. So there's no development, but like it obviously still feels nice, but it's just the feeling of like I worked so hard for this is not there. I was like on YouTube just looking at the stuff and like I came across a video, like a pretty standard video, like songs and their samples of something. And there was this one song by an artist named Richie called Tit for Tat. And it's a trap song using this sample. So when I heard that, I was like, wait, why didn't he make this sample into drill? After like a week of making it, I uploaded it to YouTube. And Whoopty, I found out about Whoopty like maybe like a month after its release. It had like 600K at the time or something like that. It was pretty small compared to now. I criticized like really strictly, I guess. So like, you know, just because you used something of mine doesn't mean that, like, you know, I won't tell you it's good. I won't lie to you. I won't, you know, all that. So I heard it. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. This is actually like, this is an actual song. It's not some kid freestyling. It's not, you know, it's like an actual song, video clips, like visuals are crazy. You know, I reached out and to my surprise, he said, yo, dude, we already reached out and you haven't answered. To be honest, it was scary at first because it has a sample in it. When it was getting big, you know, all these labels wanted to get involved and yeah, we have a co-pub, we have this, we have that. And me, I had no idea what they were saying. You know, I had no idea. And in the meantime, I had other artists, you know, listening to it, enjoying my music, want to work. And I was in this like dilemma, like, what do I do? Do I focus on what to do with Whoopty right now or do I work? But luckily, you know, CJ and his team, you know, they were just being helpful and like relax, you know, we know what to do and stuff like that. So basically, if you take, you know, a San Amre sample and you pitch it up by 600 semitones, you get this. When you hear it, you hear the sample, it's like, I don't know, it almost like brings memories you've never had. And as soon as I heard it, I loved it. After the sample, I always go to the hi-hats. On the main hi-hats, I added like some high notes. The next sounds are basically just some more hi-hats to fill in the blanks. Here are some more, some rolls. The final hi-hat is this. If the hi-hat suck, then the beat sucks. That's how I see it. After my hi-hats, I always go to my snare. Obviously, the snare is popular by from 808 Mellow, from Dior. It's like really sharp, you know, like it hits. But it wasn't enough for me, so I wanted to add one more snare and layer over it. And that's when it really started kicking in. So if you add those together, you get... After the hi-hats and the snare, I pulled up an 808 from my boy Radiant Skin. I have 3 808 patterns. And this is the first one. Second one, I changed some notes. I added some notes in and take some slides out. And then for the third pattern, I changed the first half of the 808. Without the kick, the 808 is like nothing. But same goes for the kick, you know. But when they're together, you know, it gives you that like push, you know, that rush. You always need a kick on the one, so it like punches, and then, you know, some kicks in between. So next, I pulled up the sound from Electro X as a counter melody to complement the sample. So later on throughout the beat, I had to change the notes a little bit so it doesn't get repetitive. This specific sound is like very high pitched, so it like perfectly blends in with the sample. Like you can't really hear it, but you can feel it when it plays. So I added some risers before the drops to give them like a rush, you know, like a build up. At some point throughout the beat, there is this one sound playing that I noticed a lot of people, you know, like they were curious or some noticed it, and it's basically from an anime. So basically, Naruto, there's this one like family or clan named Uchiha, and they have special like powers with their eyes, and whenever they use their eyes, this sound effect plays. Then at some point throughout the beat, I added some crushes, you know, to kind of spice things up a little bit. I also pulled up this one Vox and just added it, you know, throughout the beat. I don't know who made it. I don't know who made it popular, but I believe it was from Kenny Beats. The first time I had this specific Vox. I'm not sure where I found the sound, but I believe it might be from Kenny Beats. After everything was put together, the last thing I added was the tag.
Pxcoyo, kill this beat, bitch.
So now you have the tag, you know, hi-hats, snares, all these sounds, you know, the ear candy, risers and stuff. If you add them all together, then you get Whoopty.
Whoopty, bitch, I'm outside of some movie. Blue cheese, I swear I'm addicted to blue cheese. I gotta stick to this paper like blue sleep. Bitch, I'm by my chicken like it's a two-piece. You can have your bitch back, she a groupie. She just swallow all my kids in a two-seat.
I can't escape Whoopty. Like everywhere I go, they keep playing Whoopty in Cyprus with such a small population. So I can only imagine what's going on, you know, like worldwide. People who come from like places like me, where there's no music industry, there is no hope for us, you know. But thankfully with the internet, you know, we can show our talent, you know, show what we can do. I just don't want like younger producers to get discouraged, and you know, like even if they need help, you know, they can contact me. I'm always there for people. My favorite part of the song is where the beat cuts, and then, you know, he says Whoopty, Pajama Service, a movie, and then it like slowly, you know, rises up towards the drop. I think that's my favorite part of the whole record.